There are two kingdoms. There's a kingdom of this world and there's a kingdom of God. And me and you saints, we are going ahead to the kingdom of God that John preached about. When he says, behold, the kingdom of God is at hand. When he said the kingdom of God is at hand. Spirit of the living God, we thank you. Mighty God, we appreciate you for this day and hour, for this opportunity that you have given us today. We appreciate you, mighty God. We pray, we seek your face. We say today, reveal mighty things unto our lives. Oh God, reveal mighty things. Today's topic is, don't give your life to COVID-19. We were told this week and that we are going to the peak. It is unclear when is the peak, but the peak is coming. What is the peak? The peak is more numbers which are going to go up and climb. And after climbing, that is the highest point, is the climax. Once it reaches the peak, it will start going down. Until it reaches the peak, it will not go down. So, meaning, reaching the peak, it means a lot of people are going to be affected. This thing is going to infect a lot of people before it reaches the peak. And you need to understand, this is information we are getting, guided by the scientists. On the 5th of March, remember, I want to take you back. On the 5th of March 2020, the minister confirmed that the first case of COVID-19 was with a guy from Italy who traveled to Italy and came back. And that's when we got our first case. That was on the 5th of March. And on the 15th of March, a national state of disaster was declared in South Africa. And they announced a closure of schools from the 18th of March 2020 with minimum cases. And then the first death was recorded on the 27th of March 2020. And on the 23rd of March, the lockdown was announced to start on the 26th March 2020. And at that time, the only issue was about sanitization and social distancing. Masks, we were told, were reserved for those who are sick. It was not mandatory for everyone to wear a mask at that stage. I'm talking about South African situation. And on the 1st of May 2020, the lockdown and restrictions were lowered down to level 4. And on the 1st of June, down measures were lowered to level 3. But now, what is interesting is the statistics. On the 1st of May 2020, cases were 5,951 in South Africa, when lockdown was lowered down to level 3. Understand? When we went strictly to lockdown, we did not have much, because it to enable the government to pay for beds and for hospitals. Because it was known that this thing one day will reach the peak. So the spread of coronavirus was delayed. But listen, on the 31st of May, we went to level 3. And the cases were 34,357. And death was 705. Tomorrow, schools are opening. More children in schools are going to go back. And listen to the statistics. Cases are 188,000. And death is 3,026. It is obviously a cause of concern. But me and you were told by the scientists that it's going up, it's going to reach the peak. Clearly, with all these activities and the country being open, it is definitely going to reach the peak very quick. But I want to give you a message today that don't give your life, even with all this, don't give your life to COVID-19. Refuse to bow down before COVID-19. Refuse to bow down. Refuse to hand yourself over to the disease called COVID-19. When they say, wear a mask, sanitize, do this, they cannot insist on a mask if this thing, it is not known that this thing is already in the atmosphere. It means it's already in the atmosphere and it's more than it was. So you need to take the words of Jesus Christ. You need to be crafty. You need to be wise. You need to be clever. You need to open eyes. Because there are signals that they are sending to you. These are the people who know these things, where it comes from and what happened. Me and you are just citizens, are just people on the ground. All what we know the Bible. But let's investigate on the Bible and see what happened when people in the Bible were confined in a situation which was not good, which were put in a place which was not good, we were put in a corner. What happened to those people? Acts 27. When it was decided that we will sail for Italy, Paul and some other prisoners were handed over to a centurion named Julius, who belonged to an imperial regiment. Listen. So Paul was under the custody of a guy called Julius. Julius was to ensure that Paul reached Rome, because this man was trusted that, you know what, no prisoner will escape if we hand a prisoner to this guy. And at that time, Paul, his charge was a very serious charge, that he had to be looked after by a regiment, a centurion. Now, the Bible says they took the journey and it was not good on the way. The boat, there was wind blowing, there was air, there was rough seas. And the Bible says in verse 3, the next day we landed at Sidon. And Julius, in kindness to Paul, allowed him to go to his friends so they might provide for his needs. So this is Julius. He's now in control of the situation. He goes to Paul and says, Paul, now that you have been handcuffed for a longer period, I can allow you this moment now to go to see your friends. You know, if you are under authority, authorities allow you to do some other things, and they don't allow you to do some other things. The same applies to Paul. If you're a prisoner, there are things that you cannot do. That things. When you phone in some other countries, when you phone, they give you time limit. You can phone at this time, and you can phone for certain minutes. The same applied to Paul. The next day they landed, obviously, to Sidon. And it was rough seas. Now I'm jumping to verse 10. And Apostle Paul says this, I can see that our voyage is going to be disastrous and bring great loss to ship and cargo and to our own lives also. The Bible says that the ship and the cargo is going to be lost. Our voyage is going to be disastrous. It's a dangerous journey that we are taking. The trip is not good because of the wind. But the centurion, instead of listening to what Paul said, followed the advice of the pilot. Listen. Instead of listening what Paul was saying, because Paul is not educated in issues of the voyage, in issues of running the ship. Paul is educated on issues of the spirit. No one listened to him. But the centurion, instead of listening to what Paul said, followed the advice of the pilot and of the owner of the ship. The same applies to today. We are listening to the advice of people who are educated, the scientists. But where are our spiritual leaders? What is the advice we are getting from spiritual leaders on this issue? Are our spiritual leaders' views taken into account? Or it's only for the pilot? And if it is only for the pilot, is it enough